Welcome back to Turkish Series Stars, the channel where we lean in close to the tremble of a voice, the quiet between words, and the moments when love looks you straight in the eye and refuses to pretend. If you're new, subscribe, tap like, and pull up a chair among people who believe that feelings are worth hearing and stories are worth remembering. Because tonight isn't just a headline or a rumor. It's a portrait of two people who made us believe in chemistry, then taught us how to live with its afterglow. This is the story of Elçin Sengu and Baris Ardak, once the screen's brightest flame, now a memory that still warms, even as it fades. And it began again, at least that's what everyone hoped, beneath the chandeliers of a glittering fashion event in Istanbul, where fate decided to have its little laugh. She arrived first. Elçin moved through the cameras like a melody, luminous in white, with a smile that was gentle and a gaze that refused to linger too long on anything. Across the room, Baris stood stiller than usual, the kind of quiet that has weight. He watched her with something like longing and something like gratitude, the sort of look that lenses never really catch, no matter how fast they fire. The flashes echoed like thunder in miniature, the room hummed, and then, for a split second, it all went soundless, as if the city itself had taken a breath. A whisper swirled, they had spoken backstage. Those close enough to witness only heard fragments, but the shape of it stayed. Baris, with a worn-out smile that seemed stitched with old memories, said softly, "I didn't expect to meet you like this again." Elçin lowered her eyes, a half nod, a quiet reply, "Neither did I, and yet, somehow, here we are." It was a brief exchange, half buried under music and movement, yet it was enough to light a fuse. By morning, imaginations were sprinting. Blogs spun fables of reconciliation. Comment sections filled with hope disguised as certainty. People who had followed them since their first on-screen laugh began to convince themselves the story had merely paused and was now finally unpausing. But truth, reliable as ever, had teeth. Days later, Elçin sat for an interview that would rearrange every version of their narrative. Her tone was careful but unarmored, she didn't flinch from the hard parts. Loving Baris was breathtaking, she admitted, but somewhere inside that love, I started misplacing pieces of myself. And when you begin not to recognize your own reflection, affection alone can't fix the mirror. No one interrupted. It wasn't bitterness she served, it was honesty, unsweetened. She added, "He mattered. He shaped seasons of my life. But today, I need to find my way back to me." Within minutes, the internet did what it always does. The topic Elçin and Baris bloomed across timelines. People took sides without meaning to. One wave praised her candor, the way she named her need to heal. Another wave begged the universe to give love one more chance, as if petitions could command hearts to return. A columnist murmured online, "She's rebuilding. Let her breathe." Through it all, Baris chose stillness. Then a small tremor rattled the calm. Fans noticed he had unfollowed a handful of accounts, some connected to past collaborations and mutual circles. It wasn't dramatic. It was subtle, a tidy clearing of the digital shelf. Was it self-preservation? A way to keep from scrolling into old wounds? Or simply a man making space? No one had the answer, and perhaps he didn't either. A paparazzi clip arrived like clockwork, Baris leaving a restaurant in Bebek, coat collar up, the sea air cutting through the night. "Baris. Did you hear what Elçin said?" a voice called. He paused, turned toward the camera with a kind of calm that people often mistake for indifference, and replied, "If she felt lost, I hope she's finding her way. When I loved her, all I wanted was for her to be okay." Then he slid into his car and let the door close on the noise. A single sentence, but it cracked the internet in half. It wasn't a plea. It wasn't anger. It was the kind of farewell that still cradles the past, a soft release that proves love can exist without possession. For those who had rooted for them, it felt like finishing a book they never wanted to end, where the last page finds a hurt that's beautiful because it's true. Old clips resurfaced, the bloopers that felt like real life, the interviews where their glances did most of the talking, the scenes that blurred fiction and something that looked suspiciously like reality. People remembered the electricity that required no announcement, the shared jokes that aged like wine, and the natural rhythm that made them feel like home to each other. Yet, behind the spotlights, there had always been pauses no one saw, compromises no one counted, and small fractures that a camera cannot soften. In the weeks after her interview, Elçin stepped back. She let her circle shrink to family, a few steadfast friends, and a quiet routine grounded by work. Whispers started that she was preparing to lead a drama about a woman piecing herself together after a love that felt both saving and consuming. Critics, rarely able to resist poetic symmetry, noted the coincidence. Art repeats life, one wrote. Or maybe life keeps borrowing from the scripts we write to survive. Meanwhile, Baris appeared at a charity gala in a tailored suit that fit but seemed a little looser than before. Graceful, generous with smiles, he carried a hint of absence around his eyes. When asked about her, he didn't take the bait of spectacle. Sometimes loving someone means recognizing when to open your hand, he said. Everyone deserves the time to mend. The line traveled at light speed, screen-capped and reposted with captions that called it noble, or wistful, or both. Was it an ending, or an invitation to leave a window ajar? The audience split again. Some began a gentle campaign urging the press to quiet down, leave them alone, they called it, hoping the chorus would hush the room. But curiosity is a stubborn thing. Conspiracy boards filled with threads and theories. A few fans clocked that they had each posted a moon on the same week, as if celestial bodies could stand in for confession. Grainy photos surfaced claiming secret meetings, a shared shadow here, a reflection there. The boundary between truth and wishful thinking blurred so thoroughly, even the most devoted followers could no longer tell where certainty ended and imagination took the wheel. Then, sometime after midnight, the city washed in silver, and Elçin shared a story, the full moon suspended above the Bosphorus, the water shining like silk, and a caption that read, "Everything that dazzles was once in pieces." The internet didn't walk, it ran. Was it a message for him? A note to herself? A line that could hold both? Perhaps that was the point. In a later conversation with an international magazine, she peeled back another layer. People watch our characters fall in love and assume our real lives have the same soundtrack, she said. They don't see the doubts that steal sleep, the emptiness that arrives in busy rooms, the way the spotlight transforms tenderness into theater. Loving someone where everyone can see you is like dancing along a blade, you try to keep your step, all the while knowing the slightest wrong move leaves a mark. It wasn't grandstanding. It was bone deep and carefully spoken, and it sounded like someone learning to speak to her own heart without apologizing. Not long after, as if replying in a different language, Baris posted an old black and white still from a set where they had once laughed between takes. No words. Only a single broken heart icon beneath it, small as a whisper and loud as a siren. Millions recognized the note he didn't write. Was it a curtain call? Was it a promise of a different kind of care? People argued, then remembered it doesn't really matter. Sometimes a picture does the talking because words would only crowd the room. Months have slipped by. Elçin is head down in the new series, playing a woman rebuilding herself one deliberate choice at a time, like laying stones across a river, measured, steady, brave. Baris has been turning toward music in his quiet hours, letting melodies hold what he isn't ready to say out loud, writing verses where longing shares space with patience. Their paths now run parallel along the same city's edges, close enough to feel the same wind, far enough not to touch. And yet, in the hearts of those who watched them grow into icons and almost lovers, they remained forever threaded together, not primarily because of what they lost, but because of what they were brave enough to show us while they had it. Their story ceased to be a romance and became something else, something wider, a reminder that love is not just a destination but a language, and that sometimes the most loving sentence ends with a period, not a comma. Do you believe it's truly finished? Or is love patient in ways we cannot measure, waiting behind the next ordinary moment for two people to be new enough to try again? Have you ever loosened your grip on someone, not because your feelings thinned, but because you finally realized your own hand needed to be free? Tell us below. We want to hear the versions of courage you've lived. And if this story found you where you are, if it placed a hand on your shoulder and made you breathe a little differently, don't forget to like, subscribe, and become part of the Turkish series Stars family. Here, we don't chase the echo of scandal. We listen for the heartbeat in every tale, the kind that reminds us we're all stumbling toward ourselves, learning, letting go, and, when luck is kind, starting over.